Alright, the nightmare continues. So this is how I'm approaching to try and get this nacelle to fit together. I've started cleaning up where the mesh pieces went in. I've super glued that and sanded it down. I just need to give it a shot of primer to see that it's right. Originally I just glued these top ones on. I thought that would be enough, but it's not, so I had to do the bottom as well. I've only just glued them, so I don't want to force them because they'll come away, but basically I'm just trying to spread this one that it matches this side. So it's a process that takes time. This side, the mesh I'm putting in, there was a gap between these two this time, so I'm using some plastic card to fill the gap. I haven't glued the bottom piece yet. I have to align it up better to where it is. It's yeah, it's pretty bad fitting. I think see I'm starting to hack this door out, so I'm using this USB charging Dremel type tool. I have an actual Dremel, but its revs per minute are way too high for plastic. It just melts it. Even this one it was starting to melt it. Basically, when you're cutting out a big section like this, just, well, for me, work in from the actual, so that panel line is where it needs to come flush to. So just come in, make sure you keep a gap, unless you're braver than me. See, even that is melting, so a proper Dremel will get no hope, but you can just come in and clean it off so you can see better where you're at. Basically, I'm not going to bore you with the whole process, so I'm going to take my time. I don't want to mess it up. So I'll do the four sides, get that center section out, and then I'm going to come in with this sanding drum and slowly go down again closer to the panel line, and I'm not sure, it might be right, that diameter might be right on, so I might be able to use that tool to get the whole door. If not, then I'll come in with a grinding stone and do it that way. But again, it's going to be a process of time, taking your time, because you don't want to go beyond the panel line and then start creating other issues. Well, that's cleaned up nicely now. So as mentioned, I could get this sanding drum almost to the corner. I didn't want to push it, so what I did is when I got near, I just turned that off and used it like that, and then I just used the handle of this blade and some sandpaper on it just to smooth it out in the corners, and then just come around, cleaned it up. The bottom, because of the shape of the fuselage, it was the plastic, well, you'll see it from the back, so I'd come in, sand it down from the inside as well, even though I've cleaned this up. Once the door's on there, you don't see any of that anyway, but it's nice to do a neat job and know that it's right. So that's that. So I have to put those resin rails in, which I'm not looking forward to cutting them off the plug because they look pretty brittle, fragile, so I'll see how that goes. But again, I'm not going to put them on probably until, now that I've done that, got all the dust of that out, I can start looking at going back to the cockpit, clean up all this flash and everything, and seeing how I'm going to fit the cockpit section. It's going to need when I position it, find its position, I'll probably use plastic card as a backing, so I'll super glue it in and then use some plastic card, maybe. I have to see how much, where I can fit it, just as a support, even though the super glue is holding it. If you give super glue a hard bump, it'll break the join. So when you do big pieces like this, it's a good idea to use your super glue, but also maybe put some PVA glue, because that won't break. So you got two types of glue holding it. Oh, on an interesting note, look here, the crystal clear glue. I cut all that and it still stayed as one piece. So this is my next challenge, getting this resin wheel bay in. I'm trying to work out if it's better to put it in this side or this side, because as mentioned, there's no positive slot or anything for it to line up. I think I'll probably go this way, get some CA glue on it, glue that side in, and then come in and put the other side on. It's starting to, it's still going to need a lot of cleanup, because it's just not, you can see there the shape doesn't want to pull in, and the back end as well is not brilliant. It's a process of I'll glue a bit, let it dry, and then come and glue another bit. But definitely I'll do the bottom first, because like I mentioned, that's the important part, getting a square. I still worry about there's so many things that go wrong here, having these squared up when they're put on the aircraft. But anyway, I'll see what happens. Okay, I've cleaned up these fuselage halves. Might need a bit more here and there. I had to sand out the other side of this top engine area so that could fit flush. So what I'm doing for the cockpit, I've put that solid plastic square rod. I glued them in. I let them, when it's set properly, then I can fix the cockpit in there when it's painted. Just an extra, just to help me align it, and a bit of support to glue it in there, because it's not an exact shape for the frame of the fuselage to the cockpit, so I'm going to try and get it the best I can. Starting to clean up these windows, getting the flash out of them just with a sanding stick. File, diamond file will work just as well, flat one. I need to clean that up as well. So that's getting progress. I'm gluing, I've got this wheel bay in. I'm still not 100%. It's going to be good to go, but it's just the best alignment I could get without a tab or something to hold it and align it. It's just some guesswork, because it's such the two halves just don't match up. They're awful. You can still see I'm trying to glue it together, and I'm still getting misalignment. So I'm just gonna have to clean it up and do the best I can with it. And as I mentioned, when it comes time to mount them to the fuselage and align all the wheels, I just see it's going to be difficult. But anyway, this side's worse than the other one. Look at the gap that's going on here. So again, I'm going a bit at a time, trying to get the best alignment for each section. So that's definitely going to need plastic card there, and then again sand and clean up and use some putty for the smaller gaps. Just, yeah. But as mentioned, like I said, I knew this was going to be a bit of a challenge, this build, so I'm not going to slam it and say it's a crap kit, because I knew it was limited run, and as mentioned, the subject matter, this is what interests me, and this is what you got to do if you want to build something like this. So onwards. As mentioned, I've primed inside black, and I'll leave it like that, so when it's together, if you look through the windows, it'll be dark and hard to see because there's no interior detail. I've painted the cockpit up. I've kept it, well, it's just what the colour callouts is, so it looks pretty bland, but that's just how it is. I will give it a wash. I've just given it a clear coat, so I'll have to wait for that to dry. Cockpit colour for this one is H308. That's the call out anyway, and extremely hard to find pictures of the interior of this aircraft. So. And as I suggested earlier, you can't really see the instrument panel, so I did dry brush it though with some silver. I'll probably use Tamiya's black panel line wash just to highlight some of that detail in there, and then I'll put it in, and hopefully she all aligns well.